What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Okay, the moon landing, which is obviously fake.
No, it's not obviously fake.
No, that's actually not what
Are
I said.
you
The moon landing is
crazy?
definitely fake, by the way.
The moon
100%.
landing's not.
The
What?
shadows are off.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I've looked at photos on the internet and it
Yeah,
proves it.
Nick,
The
that's.
shadows are off. The shadows are off.
shadows
The
are
shadows
not-
are off.
It's the Al Travis Show. We've got our Senator Susan Kent in with us discussing what's going on. We call it Clean Up on Aisle 9 or Yeah, but I think we'll agree on this, probably for different reasons, but let me lead with this. To get this deal done, and I know you said if everybody doesn't get what they want, everybody gets a little something, then we should be happy. I don't like that. But on the other hand, when you all had all three stools, I didn't like that either. So, I mean, maybe I cannot be satisfied. I don't know. But there could be a problem. But here's what I would like to throw out, because I think it needs to be said. So the head of each party in each branch, the House and the Senate, have to get together and come up with this. The governor shows up. There are 5 people in a room. How are we going to get through this problem? And they go through the big issues that are going to come up, and you've been there. Is it a pinky swear? What exactly do you say when you say, okay, I will deliver this guaranteed, even if I got to fall on my own sword? Is it a bit of a pinky swear? Because I don't think people know this.
Yeah.
So,
literally, in a lot of cases, the agreement is on a piece of paper, and it's broad outlines. You know, it's like this is the budget amount for state and local government. These major policy things will be included, and these will not. And then all 5 leaders sign their names to it, or in some cases, it's just 3. It's just the majority leaders in the House and the Senate.
But it's more than just broad stuff, because when they went into the overtime special session, literally it said, here are the rules. You'll be done by 7:00 on Tuesday. There will be no amendments brought up that all 5 of us don't agree on. Well, how are you going to get it? Was the governor sitting around waiting to see if no? So they had to have this all choreographed, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So on the one, like Minnesota Care for Illegal Immigrants, they had it worked out. We're going to do adults get off, kids get to stay on. I mean, this was all worked out. But this is the one they knew could blow up, right? So we bring it to the floor, and this is where Hortman and Murphy I give all the respect to. Yeah. It goes on a party line vote. And now for her,
except for one. I mean, in the House.
Yeah.
Right? And Hortman specifically said, and if I am the one DFL vote that gets this over the line, I will do that. You know,
and she didn't. This is my point, folks. For folks who are trying to catch on what I'm trying to say here, literally it goes party line, and these 2 women said they would deliver it, even if they have to vote for it, and they hate voting for it to make the whole plan work. That's Spartacus move right there, people. I should have played the Spartacus play. I give them credit. Now, even Hortman looked like she was almost ready to cry when discussing it later because it hurt her so.
Right. I mean, and again, there are a lot of problems with it. And setting aside the issue of undocumented immigrants, this will affect hospitals and in a bad way. And that's going to affect rural hospitals more than others, so.
But they had to argue that
it's hard for a lot of reasons. But ultimately, this is the challenge of leadership. When you're in a position with divided government, you have to give up things that you want. And I get that you're having to. It's the proverbial Sophie's child. You're having to make an incredibly painful decision about what that compromise is going to be on, and who that's going to leave out. And so there you have it. But that's, in order to make that deal work, they were balancing the least bad options, and that's what leaders have to do. Yeah.
So you're just following me along in this conversation. I love it, by the way, because Senator didn't know we were going to talk about this. So I give them credit for that, because I'm asking you now, they both have to go get reelected, and I presume the bigger problem will be from their left saying, you didn't even do this for us. I mean, that's the right can't say much. You agreed with us on this. That doesn't work. So it's got to be from the left. How safe are they? Because that's a heck of a move.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of them are safe in their districts in general.
Okay.
And yes, they probably may pick up somebody who's mad enough to come after them in a primary. And the Republicans are not unfamiliar with this dynamic, you know?
No, the speaker, Dameth, no new taxes. Well, you got taxes. Somebody's going to run and say, you said and you didn't do. Yeah.
Well, and you didn't get rid of this, and you voted to keep X, Y, and Z terrible things that we don't believe in, whatever, you know. So I mean, everybody is going to have some difficult. They're going to have to, because of the nature of the omnibus bills in a divided legislature. There are things they're going to have to say. I didn't vote for something, or that I wish I could have, or I did vote for something that I really didn't want to, but you know, and that is legislating, you know, and I, you know, you've heard me say this more than a few times. This is what the public needs to understand. Yeah. You know, we're not, the members of the legislature are not 201 kings plus the governor. You know?
No, and we're trying very hard to lay this out here. I'm being nice to those two ladies. They did
I know
literally what they said, and I give them credit because it isn't going to make their lives easier. No way. So let me throw the next thing out, because here's what really the powers that be, Pinky swore, will make this work. We have it all laid out. Al's humble opinion, you get this thing together, there are 13, 14 bills, a couple minutes on each. We could be out of here by lunchtime, boom, boom, boom. But except for the bloviating. And this is what really drove me kind of crazy. We knew how the votes were going to go. We were going to vote this way. We knew that. I don't believe one human being changed the vote listening to any of this, and I had it on TV the whole day. And I would use the one and...
I did not. I just have to say.
You didn't? Well, let me catch you up. Half of your team, and here's... Okay, I just said to this, Putnam. If you all on your team said, Sue, you got this point, and Bob, you'll come up and you'll give this point, and then you'll do this point, and you got the 5 points out, I could even live with it because at least it's choreographed. Get your points out. Let's run. But all people have to do the same 5.
Interject here for a second that when I was a minority leader, I did a pretty good job of.
Okay.
And we were in COVID, right? So we didn't want to spend too much time in a big room with each other, you know, because there's a lot of hot air blowing.
Then you're glad you didn't watch the day before yesterday, because it was every person stood up and had to give all 5 points. And I'm like, for God, why? Because they all have to be able to have that snapshot. Look at me at the House floor saying the thing.
The video clip.
Yeah. And that's where this gets to be kabuki theater. And it drives me crazy. And I will use this because what caught my ear quick. 20,000 people will be left to die if you get rid of the health care. That was said, and it's got to be in the bullet point because everybody doesn't think that way. 20,000 are dying because of this. Now, could someone die? I'm not saying they're not. But it's so over the top because 6 months ago, none of them had health insurance, and there weren't just 20,000 dying all over. It's going over the top. Now, Republicans do the same thing. I'm not lying. But what gets me is...
Because I'm really convinced that when we increased the minimum wage in 2014,
the world stopped.
The world would have ended long before.
Oh, no. Yeah, again, I'm just using it because once you say 20,000 people are dying, it catches a guy's attention, even if he's doing the book work of the day. I mean, I like this. And that sort of thing is just got to stop. Well, you can think. But here's the one that hurt, and I don't know if you caught it. It really caught my eye, and it's back to, we get to the point, and again, I don't think any vote has ever changed ever. I don't think a Republican ever heard anything a Democrat said on the floor and said, seriously? Oh, I'm changing my mind.
I have a couple of examples, but they're few and far between.
Okay. Well, this gal came up, Representative Her, and I think she meant well to throw my life out there on a platter and have you come over, and it just bit her in the butt. All of a sudden, the national news is covering it.
I know.
And I was watching, again, I wasn't paying a lot of attention, but she brought up her uncle worked for the CIA in Laos, and I'm like, well, there's something that... So then I paid attention. And I get up the next day and I find out that guys like me are using this against her out of context. I'm like, out of context? I just listened to the whole thing. I give her credit, and I presume now, and I understand it, so we're not misleading. She is an American citizen now. She got herself. Citizen. So,
and they were legal refugees when they came. But
my point is, she starts this firestorm in an effort, I presume, to try to drag someone to the other side. Oh, you don't understand? Let me give you a story. It's over the top.
I mean, I will say that it's not, the speech is on the floor, and the House is different than the Senate. for a lot of reasons. But one of them is that in the House, everybody says the same thing over and over and over again. That's why notoriously House sessions run much longer than Senate sessions do, not just because there are twice as many of them. But, we did not, there were a few issues where everybody wanted to have a chance to get up and speak. But by and large, no. So I'm just going to defend the Senate a little bit here. I'm not saying the Senate's perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But, it is exactly like you're saying. It's like they want to have the video clip and they want to be able to take that back to their communities to say, I'm fighting for you. These are the things I'm standing up for. And, you gotta, in a way, when you're one of 134 and, 67. So
here's the next thing, and I throw it out there because it's never going to change, and I got to go to break. The other thing is this idea the governor calls us back, and we got to be done by Tuesday at 7. Just throw out a random stop time. Here's my point.
This was good. This was amazing, actually.
No, but here's my thing. I don't want you all trying to figure out how to spend my $66 billion when you're dead tired. I haven't made midnight. I don't remember the last time I made midnight. You don't want me at 2 a.m. making a decision on anything. I can't do it. What would it have hurt? The governor says we're going from, we think it'll be 18 hours. So Monday for 9 hours. Tuesday we'll come in and wrap it up. I expect to be done by Tuesday at 7 at night. Why are we making you people stay up all night? That makes no sense.
Do we need to go to break and we can talk about it after?
Oh, I didn't know you'd have a big answer. Okay, she's going to answer that question.
I do.
Okay, because I thought that was like one of those questions you can't answer just the way. This is getting more interesting. Getting more interesting all the time. Senator Susan Kent answers the impossible question. Next.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
You know that car sound that sounds like a cricket playing a banjo? Jay's can fix that. You know when you step on the brakes and your car sounds like a pair of tennis shoes in the dryer? Paul is the guy who specializes in that. And you know that sound that never happens when the mechanic's around? Paul took a whole course on that. If you own a car, you need to know Paul. Paul owns Jay's Auto Shop, 202 North Main Street, Blue Earth, 525-1052, 525-1052.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
We've got Senator Susan Kent answering the impossible question. As long as we're 3 weeks overtime anyway, really hurt anybody to say, we're going to close down at 10 o'clock on Monday. We'll pick her up Tuesday morning and finish this bad boy so everybody can sleep. It seems so crazy to me that you guys are up at 2, 3 in the morning, pulling all-nighters to spend my $66 billion. Thoughts?
So, as we have discussed, deadlines matter to legislators to get things done, and deadlines matter to minimize the bloviating. So I remember in June of 2021,
All right.
during COVID, and because of federal funding, we knew we had to come back, and we were going to be back in a special session anyway because of the emergency situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the Senate and the House, if there are 14 bills, the Senate will start 7 of them, and the House will start 7 of them, and then they'll send them back and forth, and eventually they'll all get passed. But the House was taking so long, and this was a special session. And again, with the shutdown looming, you've got the pink slips start going out, right?
Yeah.
And so, and in this case, again, because law dictated when that special session happened, because of the emergency orders, we were really getting close to June 30th. And I remember Kurt Knapp had those people talking for nobody's business, and the Senate came in and we couldn't do anything that day. We literally sat around a day waiting for them to stop talking. And so anyway, the fact that they got all these bills done in this short amount of time, I think partly was the deadline they were talking about with the pink slip. So it's like, if we can get this done by this date, the pink slips do not have to go out. And the other thing is, I maintain, and we will never know, but when you have a house that is 67 to 67, and one person has a grandbaby that they need to go see, or a graduation they need to go to, or a daughter's wedding, or something like that, you just lost a vote. So it really may be that they only have this particular 24-hour window before somebody had to get the plane.
That's fair enough.
All that work went away. So there are a lot of reasons, but the fact that it was short kept the bloviating to a minimum is all.
I give them credit, and I would say here's what I do. So we're voting all this stuff, binga, 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 and then the rest of the time, the Senate guy who's aiming the camera, you go ahead and take your turn, talk all you want. He's going to film it. You and him can be up all night long. I don't care, because the rest of it don't matter. The other thing, you had sent me an email about roundabouts. Can I complain? I don't remember where I was driving. Middle of no place.
Can you complain?
I'd like to complain. Who paid for all this? I'm driving. I don't remember where I was. Cornfield. After Cornfield. I was heading to Wisconsin. And literally in the cornfield, go 3 miles, the computer, and then take the second exit to stay on your road. It was cornfield. It was in the middle of cornfield after cornfield, and every 4 miles I'm stopping to spin around the... Why are we doing this? You guys are killer in Woodbury. You guys love a good roundabout.
We do. That's why we named our newsletter after it. Which somebody suggested that as a name for the whole organization. We're like, that's a little too tongue-in-cheek. We want some news credibility here. Well, yes, we did name our newsletter The Roundabout because we do have more than a few. But it's a public safety thing, and the traffic engineers have looked at the research. And even in a cornfield where you might have people zooming down a 2-lane country road at 80 miles an hour, and then they don't see the stop sign coming, and they blow right through it, and you end up with a horrible crash that really injures or kills somebody, So what this does is it calms traffic in addition to, and in our case, we've got these funny intersections where at certain times of day, and I used to have to go quite a ways to pick up my son from school. And at certain times of day, you have a 4-way stop, and it's like back way up on one side of it.
I don't agree. And I don't know if it's an internet lore or not, but evidently the reason is there are no fewer accidents, but the accidents aren't as severe because everybody's glancing. No one's parallel beaming.
Everybody to slow down, but he's T-boning at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. So it does save fatalities, but it doesn't. A number of accidents aren't down. It's just they're not as bad. All right, I gotta fly. I love having you on the show. Thank you for answering all my questions, being here for me. I do appreciate you. I really do.
This is fun.
How does someone pick up the newsletter?
WoodburyNewsNet.org.
WoodburyNewsNet.org. She's Susan Kent. Love having her on the show. Back up for this.